Beltre a modest lead at first. Hit well to center field. Martin back at the track. At the wall. You got it. Wow. Rudian Odor gets center field. And the Rangers walk it off.
That's just a dagger in the heart of the Seattle Mariners right there.
That is unbelievable. It is a very nice night here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Perfect September for the race down to the wire tonight. The premier matchup in the American League West as your Texas Rangers host the Houston Astros. And welcome in everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you join us for a big weekend of Ranger baseball. Rangers and Astros this weekend. The Silver Boot is already wrapped up, but the Rangers looking to wrap up the West. They can't do it this weekend, but they can make big inroads in that direction. And tonight, we'll talk about the two anchors of the ball clubs. On the young side, you have Jose Altuve at 26. On the experienced side, you have Adrian Beltre at 37.
Yeah, there's no shortage of star players when you watch these two teams play. There's also no doubt who are the two leaders of the respective teams. For the Astros, it is Jose Altuve having a superb season. He leads the major leagues in hitting at .351. For the Rangers, it's 37-year-old Adrian Beltre, still a top-of-the-line defensive player and having one of the better offensive seasons he's had in the last couple of years. Both guys have a chance to hit 25 to 30 home runs, knock in 100 runs, and when you need a hit in a key situation, these are the two guys they want at the plate.
That you do, and the Rangers also have a couple other guys that might do pretty well also. Rudian Odor has been spotlighted in the last several games. He's had 3 home runs in his last 6 times to the plate. He will take on the Astros tonight. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today during the final days of the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. A warm and muggy evening, a slight breeze blowing from the left field corner to the right field corner. Rangers getting set to take on the Houston Astros. Before we get things underway, let's check in with Emily Jones.
Buzz, A.J. Griffin gets the ball tonight for the Rangers, coming off of a 6-inning shutout performance his last time out. He says there is something very special about pitching in September and something very special about pitching for this team right now.
I believe in each other. We all think that the next guy is going to get the job done every time. And you know, when you have a bunch of people pulling on the same end of the rope like that, with just outstanding belief in their teammates, good things happen. You know, there's good energy here, and I think we all feed off that, and it's a good atmosphere to be around.
And I asked AJ if he could describe the feeling or put it into words, and he said that's the best I can do. It's something you just feel. You can't really describe it. And if I tried to, I don't think I would do it justice. But he said, rest assured, it's not just with me. It's with everyone throughout this clubhouse. And it really is just a feeling that you get. And it only intensifies when that calendar turns to the month of September, Buzz.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. That's very important stuff, too. You feel the electricity building at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Rangers playing like this, and there looks to be a lot more power left in that transformer for the Rangers. Well, the Rangers taking the field tonight, taking on A.J. Hinch's Houston Astros, and Tom's going to tell you about the Astros lineup.
Well, the leadoff hitter with 25 home runs is George Springer. Alex Bregman started off cold. He's hot now. He's the third baseman. Jose Altuve, an MVP candidate, will bat third. Carlos Correa, their great young shortstop, is the cleanup hitter. Evan Gattis is the DH. Kobe Rasmus, back from the disabled list, is in left field. A.J. Reed is at first base. Jason Castro is the catcher. And Jake Marisnik will bat ninth and play center field.
Well, that's the Houston Astros lineup that A.J. Griffin, the 28-year-old right-hander, will face. A.J. making his 19th start of the year. He snapped a little bit of a losing streak last time out. Won for the first time in 3 ball games. And 6 shutout innings against the Cleveland Indians. That was on Saturday. 5 hits over those 6 innings. So A.J., something very positive to build on. Against Houston this year, or in his career, I should say, A.J. has gone 4-0 with a 4.50 ERA. This is his 6th career start against the Astros. Last time that he faced the Astros, back in April 21st, right here in Arlington. Won that ball game by a 7-4 count. The Ranger defense tonight delivered to you by Break Check. Outfield, Gomez, Desmond, and Mazzara, left, center, and right. Moreland and Odor on the right side. Andrews and Beltre on the left side of the infield. And Jonathan Lucroy is catching for A.J. Griffin. Well, the Rangers come in at 80-54. They have an 8.5 game bulge, leading the Astros, the second place Astros, by those 8.5. The Astros 71-62. We are underway tonight, and the first pitch is a fastball right at the top of the strike zone. George Springer having a whale of a year for himself. 25 home runs, 73 RBI, and he gets jammed. A little one-hopper right back to A.J. Griffin. So 2 pitches and 1 out. A very emphatic way to start this ball game off. One gone. And Alex Bregman, third baseman, takes high and tight for ball 1. Bregman, a .237 hitter overall. You remember the last time that the Rangers saw Alex Bregman. He was trying to break out of an over. He pounds this one to left field. The ballpark is not going to hold that one, and the Astros have a 1-0 lead.
That ball went all the way past the seats. No doubt about that one.
Bregman with his 6th home run of the year. Houston on top 1-0. For A.J. Griffin, that is the 20th home run that he has allowed this year in 96 innings.
Bregman gets a fastball right down the middle of the plate, and he shows why he's one of the best young prospects in baseball. Bregman now has hit 6 home runs and knocked in 17 runs in his last 16 games. When we were in Houston, Buzz, he hadn't had a hit for about 30 at bats, but he's made up for it now.
A.J. Griffin didn't need to look to see where that was going to go. Oh, here's Altuve. And Griffin falls behind, 2 balls and no strikes. Jose Altuve, a .351 average, 22 home runs, 89 RBI. And that .351 mark leads the major leagues. He was thinking something a little bit straighter and a lot harder.
I don't think you'll ever see a hitter more geared up to launch a fastball than Altuve was on that pitch. He said, I saw what Bregman did. He's got to throw me a fastball, and I'm going to do the same thing.
And he threw him a fastball that time, and Altuve pulled it foul.
He's so geared up to swing, thinking it's going to be a fastball, that he just can't stop.
Even he had a chuckle about that one.
Yeah, he can chuckle. He's hitting .351.
Yeah. Now the 2-2. Pulled foul outside third. He was able to just keep his hands back long enough to get some of the bat on the ball. AJ's next pitch to him. And again, pulled foul. Old buddy Gary Pettis down there at third base, coach. He needs to get a glove if Altuve's going to be pulling balls that hard down to him.
Altuve, one of the better contact hitters. He's only struck out 61 times, 51 walks and 61 strikeouts.
AJ trying for the outside corner. Didn't miss by much, but the count goes full. Altuve batting third. Carlos Correa will follow. Now the 3-2 pitch. Big slow hook, stayed high, ball 4. Well, the home run followed by a walk. 1 on, still just 1 out. Correa coming up.
That's the 52nd walk for Altuve. The most walks he's ever had was 40, and last year he had 33. So he's become an even better player by increasing his walk total, which has increased his on-base percentage. Not to mention the fact that hitting .351 is pretty good for your on-base percentage too, but you combine more walks with that, you see him having probably his best year, best on-base percentage at .411.
Correa fouls it off, and Altuve has that ability to turn a walk into a double or a triple a lot of times.
Yep.
Altuve's third in the league with 26 steals. American League leaders, team leaders in walks. Only Toronto walks more than the Astros. 0-1 to Correa, who's hitting .276. 0-2. Correa 19 home runs. He has driven in 90. That's the high water mark on the Houston ball club. Well, how about that duo up the middle? Both young, both he and Altuve. And they are approaching 100 RBI. And a base hit to left field. Altuve will make the turn and go to third. The throw is cut off. And Altuve challenging the arm of Carlos Gomez, able to go first to third on that looping single.
There's nothing on the field that Altuve doesn't do way above average. And he's got above average speed. That's a pretty good pitch by AJ. A fastball tailing in on the fists. Correa just loops it into left field, but Altuve is a great base runner.
Adrian said, "Hey, give me the ball real quick. I'm going to push him off the bag." No, 2 hits and a walk in the inning. Astros have a run across on the home run by Bregman. They've got runners at the corners for Evan Gattis, their designated hitter. Gaddis, a 247 average. He has 22 home runs and has driven in 56. And Gaddis has been one of the hotter Houston hitters of late. Go back to for the month of August. Gaddis hit 330. 27 ball games that he's played in. Nothing in one as that slow hook drops in. Second half of the year, Gaddis at 305, 9 of his 22 home runs and 20 of his RBI. Well, he got jammed on that pitch. Fouls it straight back, nothing in 2.
He should have gotten jammed on that one. It was about a foot inside.
Pitchers hope you start swinging at that.
I'm sure that pitch Correa hit was probably off the plate as well.
Yeah.
Wasn't when he started his swing, but when it finally got there, it was.
Right center field, hit pretty well. Altuve will tag at third. Desmond with a catch. The throw comes into second. Altuve down the line will cross home plate. Gaddis drives in his 57th run with a sacrifice fly. The Astros have an early 2-0 lead.
Gaddis was able to wait on the slow curveball. He's a very strong guy. All he has to do is get the ball up in the air and make any kind of contact with almost any kind of swing. He can hit it far enough to get the sacrifice fly. He had to reach for it, but he made solid contact.
So 2 gone. Correa at first. Colby Rasmus, the left fielder tonight, steps in. Rasmus just recently off the disabled list. Ball 1. Rasmus had some back problems, some leg problems. He's now back in the lineup. A 212 average. That is going to slice back and out of play down the left side. Rasmus 13 home runs, 49 driven in. Rasmus activated from the disabled list on Tuesday in his first at bat. Knocked a home run out of the ballpark. That snapped a long hitless streak for him. He'd been 0 for 23 prior to that home run. So whatever he did while he was on the disabled list got that thing fixed. Rangers in an overshift with Rasmus. Out of play to the left again. Elvis Andrus, the Rangers shortstop, a good 10 steps to the first base side of second. The Elvis all by his lonesome over there on the third base side of the diamond. Odor a step on the outfield grass. A.J. Griffin trying to shut down the Astro machine here in the first inning. Got him swinging. Lucroy has to make a quick throw and just does get Rasmus at first. So the strikeout and a nice play by Lucroy to end the inning. 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 left for Houston. We finished a half inning of play at Globe Life Park. Astros 2, Rangers coming up. Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Rangers batting order.
Nomar Mazara gets the start in right field. He will lead off tonight. Ian Desmond is second. Carlos Beltran is the DH, and Adrian Beltre will be the cleanup hitter. Rougned Odor is at second. Jonathan Lucroy is catching, batting sixth. Mitch Moreland is at first. Carlos Gomez will be in left field. And Elvis Andrus bats ninth, and he's the shortstop.
And that's Jeff Bannister's lineup that will face the 32-year-old right-hander, Doug Fister, tonight. Mazara all set to go, and the first pitch to him is in for strike one. Fister making his 27th appearance of the year, 27th start. Sinker, curveball, changeup on a really good roll lately. And he has pitched extremely well against the Rangers. He has not given up more than 2 runs to the Rangers in any of his last 5 starts. And it's a tough matchup for Ranger hitters because he has the ability to go up with that fastball in the zone and that slow breaking ball to keep hitters off balance. And we have seen the Rangers in general have trouble with pitchers that can elevate the fastball and work with a good change. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Mazara. Nomar at 275, 15 home runs, 51 RBI. 2 for 8 against Doug Fister in previous matchups. That's a base hit to right field. That breaking ball stayed up. And nice job by Mazara to wait for it. And then a short, quick stroke results in a base hit.
Yeah, the change of speeds might have been effective if the pitch was down a little bit below the knees. But when it stays up like that and hangs above the knees, you can see the hitter's able to wait long enough and hit that ball solidly into right field.
The Rangers get their leadoff man aboard now, Ian Desmond. Desmond hitting at 290. Ian with 21 home runs, 78 RBI. One and one. Ian and Doug Fister teammates with the Washington Nationals for a couple of years. Fister had his best year statistically as a Washington National a couple years ago, won 16 ball games. Ahead of Desmond here at a ball and 2 strikes. Desmond 3 out of 12 against Fister. That was his first swing and a miss by Desmond in his last 18 plate appearances. A little bit outside. Ian Desmond, when he swings the bat, he usually makes contact. Doesn't mean he puts every ball in play, but he makes contact on the majority of them by far. Current homestand hitting at 280. 2-2 pitch. Just a hair outside. 3-2. A.J. Hinch kind of questioning things. Let's make sure that Jason Castro, as catcher, is ready to throw if Mazara takes off on this 3-2 pitch. Ian Desmond trying to get aboard to join Nomar Mazara. Carlos Beltran, the Ranger DH, is next. Payoff pitch, Mazara on the move. Line to right center field. That is down, and it's cut off out there by Marisnik. So Mazara will be held at third base. Desmond with a double. And the Rangers have the runners at second and third and nobody out.
Well, good job right there with 2 strikes on by Ian Desmond. He took a borderline pitch for a ball and then waited just like Mazara did and hit a solid line drive to right center field. Thought the ball might get into the gap and roll to the wall, in which case it would have been a run. But one thing we've seen from Jake Marisnik is he's a terrific outfielder, and he's shaded over a little bit that way. Even though the ball's slicing away from him, he's able to cut it off and keep the runners at second and third for now.
Here's Beltran and Fister. Off-speed breaking ball in the dirt. Yeah, I think most center fielders, even as quick as most of them are, have that ball get by him. Marisnik exceptionally good at going side to side. Well, Beltran, .253 average as a Ranger. Fouls that pitch back. He has been on a pretty good tear of late. Carlos, overall, 3 home runs, 11 RBI as a Ranger. Got a 4-game hitting streak going, though, a .471 average. He and Desmond, 7th most opposite field hits, with 52 of them in baseball. To right field, Springer coming on, makes the catch. Mazzara makes a little bluff move, and Springer, a 1-hop throw to Castro.
Yeah, that's one thing you can't do on the Astro outfielders is take a chance running, because all of them can throw, especially Springer. But Marisnik throws really well. Kobe Rasmus throws really well. You got to have a better chance to score than that one.
Yep.
There's some outfielders you just automatically go on that ball, but not Springer.
No, that is out number 1. And now Adrian Beltre will step in. Beltre, the Ranger Player of the Month for the 9th time in his career. That's the most by any single player since the advent of the Player of the Month for the Rangers. That happened in 1998, first time they gave that award out. A .291 average, the team leader with 89 runs driven in. 2 balls, no strikes. 25 home runs for Adrian Beltre. Ninth season that Adrian has gotten to that 25 home run mark. Well, Beltre with the tying runs aboard here in the first inning. 2-0 the count with 1 out. Now 2-1. Yeah, we talk about as just a third baseman for all time. Only 3 other third basemen have had more 25 home run seasons than Adrian Beltre. Eddie Matthews, Mike Schmidt, and Aramis Ramirez, and the top 2 are in the Hall of Fame. Adrian not far behind, I don't believe. Pfister continuing to work from a stretch. And evens the count now to Beltre at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Adrian brings in a 4-game hitting streak like Carlos Beltran. Adrian 6 for 14 in those 4 ball games. Pfister talked about the kind of role he is on. He has not allowed a first inning run in his last 16 starts. I guess the other way you can look at that is he's due. A little looping drive caught by A.J. Reed at first. Beltre is retired. There are now 2 outs. Runners still at second and third, and Rougned Odor coming out.
Well, Pfister had first base open, so he wasn't afraid to go out of the strike zone. And the pitch before this was a little bit inside. This pitch was a slider, well off the plate. And you got Adrian to offer at it. Adrian has such good hand-eye coordination. He can make contact with almost anything. Made some contact, but couldn't quite loft it over A.J. Reed's head.
No, it'll be up to Rougned Odor. Odor, 3 hit games each of his last 2 contests. He's now at .276. 27 home runs, 72 RBI. As we mentioned before, he has 3 home runs in his last 6 trips to the plate. Slow breaking ball, it's 0-1. And 6 hits in his last 10 times up. Pfister ready to work. 1 ball, 1 strike. Odor 3 out of 11 against Doug Pfister in previous matchups. Astros Not in an overshift, shaded around that way, though. They employ the most shifts of anybody in baseball. Altuve throws out his counterpart, and that'll do it. Rangers miss a golden opportunity. Single and double the first two hitters, and they're both stranded. After one, Astros 2, Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Dot and the green dot. Now it's time to finish that race with a red dot bobblehead. Tomorrow afternoon, the first 15,000 fans get their own Nitto Tire red dot bobblehead. That's when the Rangers take on the Astros in Game 2 of this series. It's a 3:05 start. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com and take that red dot home with you. A.J. Reed leading things off here for the Astros in the top of the second inning. Houston on top 2-0. 2 balls and no strikes as A.J. Griffin misses low. Reed hitting 171 with 3 home runs and 8 RBI. Now 3-0. So A.J. has fallen behind A.J. and after Reed, Jason Castro, the catcher. Three and one. Reed, some pop in the bat. Obviously, 4 of his last 7 hits have gone extra bases. Got in on him a little bit, and he pops this up. Adrian Beltre circling underneath it. A.J. Griffin comes back from being down 3-0 to get the pop out. That is out number 1. And before Jason Castro steps in, let's say hello to Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Great crowd here Friday night. Got the Richardson family in from Wichita Falls celebrating a birthday. How old?
We're turning 1 today.
Turning 1. You got twins from Wichita Falls celebrating that. I understand there's some other news. You got family on hand. What was that? What was that?
We've got both grandpas here. We wanted to let y'all know Susie's 8 weeks pregnant.
8 weeks? Wow. Hey, breaking news right there. Well, congratulations. Way to share that with everybody else, and enjoy the game, guys. Thank you.
All right, Knoxing. Should help him out and put that up as a graphic, too. Everybody knows. Didn't have to hear that. Shallow fly off the bat of Castro on the first pitch, and Carlos Gomez handles it. 2 up, 2 away for Jake Marisnick. Now A.J. Griffin trying to have a 1-2-3 inning. Gave up a home run and a walk and a hit in the first inning for another run. Marisnick, the number 9 hitter, batting at .212. Marisnick 4 home runs and 12 RBI. Two-0. Marisnick was the one that the Astros finally settled on in center field, or at least for the time being. Carlos Gomez was their center fielder to start the year, and he got off to a pretty poor start. Colby Rasmus up and down injury-wise and batting average-wise too. Finally, Marisnick able to take over out there and provide some kind of stability. In the air to right field, Mazzara a few steps back, and that'll do it. AJ does indeed come back with a 1-2-3, and the Astros gone in the second. After 1.5, the Astros 2, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. The bottom of the second, Rangers start off with Jonathan Lucroy to be followed by Mitch Moreland and Carlos Gonzalez. 2-0 in favor of the Astros. Lucroy hitting .293 as a Ranger. .299 is what he hit with Milwaukee. Average for the year, .298. 20 home runs, a new career high for the Ranger catcher. Softly hit into right field. That is going to be down for a base hit. Springer playing it off the sidewall. And Lucroy with a looping single to start off the Rangers second.
Coming into the game, the Rangers had 3 guys hitting .293. Beltran, Lucroy, and Elvis were all hitting .293. Desmond was hitting .290, and Beltre .291. A lot of good, solid hitters in the Ranger lineup as far as average goes. Well, Springer couldn't catch it in the air, but he could get over quickly enough, play it off the wall to keep it from being a double. I can't believe you could win a lot of money if you were a betting person after the Rangers got second and third and no outs with Beltran, Beltre, and Odor coming up that the Rangers would score 1 run. That's some kind of pitching. Houdini act by Pfister to get out of that jam without even giving up a run. They got the infield back. Ground ball would have scored 1. Yeah, and he pitched around it, made some good pitches.
What happened would have scored something. Seems
that's
like.
Right.
Well, here's Mitch Moreland hitting at .247. He has 22 home runs and 55 RBI. Takes a little bit wide. A few clouds floating by overhead. A comfortable night though. Wind coming in out of the northeast. It's out of left field, blowing in toward right field. Temperature at 85 degrees as we play here on this Friday night. 1 ball and 1 strike. Way inside, almost hit it.
I don't know how that didn't hit him. Looked like Castro caught the ball behind him.
Yeah, the last 5 starts we talked about Doug Fister not allowing more than 2 runs in any of those 5 starts of the Rangers. They had 2.40 ERA and a 3-1 record. The 2-1. 2-2.
Fister overall in his last 3 starts has failed to get out of the 5th inning twice. He pitched 4 innings 2 starts ago, 4 1/3 in his last start, over 90 pitches each time. But he seems to be at his best against the Rangers.
A.J. Hinch keeping an eye on everything going on in the dirt. That'll run the count full.
Got a couple of shout outs. One to Ranger fans John and Betty Bumgardner from Malakoff, Texas. Our very best wishes to both of you. And also to James Nobles, one of our cameramen who was injured last night on the job pretty seriously. Big James, if you're watching, everybody here is sending you their best, hoping you get back on your feet quickly.
I'll second that. Glad to hear. I know the damage was pretty severe, but glad to hear it wasn't worse than that.
Yeah.
Well, a full count with nobody out. Lucroy at first. Moreland hitting 7th in the order. Carlos Gomez will follow. On the move, the pitch is looped into left field. Rasmus has a bead drawn on it, so back to first goes Lucroy. Out number 1, Gomez coming up. Carlos Gomez during batting practice and during warm-ups tonight, reacquainting himself with his former teammates in the Houston uniforms. Combined average between the Astros and the Rangers, a 206 mark for Carlos. 7 home runs, though. He's had a couple in his tenure with the Rangers. 2 home runs and 8 driven in. Fourth player in Major League history with a grand slam against the same opponent for 2 different teams. This one to right center field. That is down for a hit. Marisnik cuts it off. Gomez going for 2. He is in with a slide, and again, the Rangers have runners at 2nd and 3rd with less than 2 out.
That's almost the exact same double that Desmond hit. A slicing line drive in the gap in right center field that Marisnik had to get over, cut off, and get back in. It was almost the exact same hit on a pretty good slider down and away, and almost the exact same catch and throw from Marisnik. Yeah. This time he was playing a little bit more toward left center than right center, but pretty much the exact same play.
Well, let's see if the Rangers can get something out of this one. I've got to think with Elvis Andrus up there, their chances are as good as they're going to get. Strike 1. Elvis, right among the league leaders in batting with runners in scoring position. He's 4th at a 383 clip. Overall numbers, 4 home runs, 56 RBI. But Elvis, going back 2 months, back to the last week of June, is hitting .472 in these situations. And he's got the infield back. Lucroy at 3rd, Carlos Gomez at 2nd. 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
There's Desmond's double. And Carlos Gomez, very similar. Gomez's was a little bit more away from him, a little bit better pitch. Elvis got his work cut out now because Fister's probably not going to throw him a very good pitch to hit and try to get him to chase just like he did last inning.
Tried to. Elvis wouldn't do it on that pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now Elvis, 62% of the time, has gotten that runner in from 3rd with less than 2 out. That's 12 percentage points better than the major league average. Lucroy at 3rd base. The 1-2 pitch. Chopper slowly hit to 3rd. That's going to get the run home. Bregman, a high throw, and the ball comes out. He's safe. And here comes Gomez. He will score from 3rd. Going to third is Elvis Andrus. We have a tie ball game. And the crowds waving their rally towels as the Rangers come back to tie it.
Well, that's a nice break right there. One run was going to score for sure on the chopper. But the Rangers get a break when the throw from Bregman is high. And then the ball gets away from A.J. Reed. Looked like on the contact with Elvis. Then the second run scored. And Elvis took a look and went all the way back around to third base. Well, that's a pretty nice break right there for the Rangers. Good job by Elvis. 0-2, making some kind of contact to get that run in.
Exactly.
Bregman has been a shortstop his whole professional career, which has not been very long. Got called up to the big leagues to play third base, and we've seen him make some excellent plays over there. That was the throw that just got away from him.
No, it goes as an error all the way, but Elvis gets an RBI. A 2-2 game. Infield now pulled all the way in. Mazzara at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mazzara had a base hit to right, his first time up there. Out to the shortstop Correa. He checks Elvis back to third and throws out Mazzara. That's out number 2.
The center fielder, Ian Desmond.
That'll be up to Ian Desmond. Desmond, as Tom was telling you, that's double lined into right center field his first time. He's at 291 now. With 2 outs, the infield back at normal depth. Outfield shading in slightly toward right center field. Ball 1. Good look at the Astros defensive alignment. Colby Rasmus, the left fielder, a good 105 feet off the right field line. And again, Springer in right field playing very shallow. And that's the way the ball goes, and Springer has this well under control. Desmond flies out. That'll do it for the Rangers, but they come back to tie the ball game. They get 2 runs on 2 hits and a big error and leave 1 after 2. Rangers 2, Astros 2. Fox Sports Southwest. Come back to tie the Astros now. They get 2 in the bottom of the second. 2-2 as we go to the third. Joining us, we're very happy to have him along as the assistant general manager, Thad Levine. Thad, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on.
We've been marveling at how well the guys that you acquired at the trade deadline, around the trade deadline, have not only fit in, but how well they contributed overall to this ball club.
It's been a blessing. I mean, our professional scouting staff did a tremendous job, I think, in identifying not only guys who are extremely talented, but guys who are going to fit in with the chemistry in the club. And we were just talking about it as we were down in the suite tonight, that Lucroy may be leading our team in hard hit singles since he's been here, and soft hit singles. But he's made such an impact offensively and defensively. I think we got to a point in the trading deadline. Our target, as everyone knew, was starting pitching, but we felt that his impact on the whole pitching staff was greater than any pitcher we could go out and acquire, and it's proven to be just that. So I give our scouts a ton of credit for really standing behind that. And encouraging us to put in that extra piece to get Jonathan Lucroy.
You know, and I guess we shouldn't just limit it to the trading deadline, because Carlos Gomez fits in there too. And what a great find he was for you guys.
Without question. And I think we've just had such a great track record of giving people second chances. And this is just an environment which is conducive to players like Carlos to shine. You know, he can just be free and easy, be himself, go out there and play the game. And he's got a ton of talent. And I think it's just the burden, as you guys know from playing the game, the burden of just the amount of struggles he had in Houston, he was just not going to be able to get out from underneath that. He gets a fresh start here, he's done exceptionally well, and then, you know, what Carlos Beltran's done for our team has just been spectacular. Walks in from day one, and I think he's had such an impact on the leadership of our team. He's helped shoulder that load for guys like Colby Lewis and Adrian Beltre and Ian Desmond, and I think that you know, goes such a long way down the stretch of a grind of a season.
That for the people that may not understand this part of the rules and the regulations, if you could simply explain, how do you make a trade after the trade deadline? People will say, I thought there was a trade deadline. How do you still make a trade?
Well, players have to go through what are called trade waivers at that point, and it goes by league. So the priority claiming team is the team with the lowest winning percentage in your league, and then it goes from the American League to the National League, for argument's sake. So for us, we were one of the lowest priority claiming teams because we had the best record in the American League for the better part of the month. And any player from the National League, we were going to be in an even worse position. So we tried to take care of our business before July 31st because we didn't expect that after that time we were going to be able to make any substantive type moves.
Right.
And, you know, we were Tom and I were talking about the other night, and I really am not clear on this myself, but almost everybody gets put on waivers at some time during the month. Is that still true today?
It is, and you know, I think there's a big to-do of, you always hear about, you know, Bryce Harper or you know, back in the day Derek Jeter or Michael Young was put on trade waivers, but for the most part, most teams put every player out there. These are what are called revocable waivers. So if a team claims them, you can always pull them back. You're not obligated to trade them. If a team does claim them, you've got 48 hours to complete a trade. If you don't do that, then you pull the player back. Then the only rule is you can't trade him for the rest of the season. But yes, almost every player goes out there. The media catches wind of it from time to time and makes a big to-do of it, but every team puts almost every player out there.
Can you hang on for a top of Globe Life Park in Arlington, looking out towards Six Flags. Glad to have you along this evening. Rangers and Astros tied at 2 as we head to the bottom of the third inning. Carlos Beltran leading things off. We're visiting with Thad Levine, the assistant general manager for the Texas Rangers, talking about the guys acquired and how they're acquired this time of the year. Let's go on to something about the organization, Thad. The guys that you're bringing up now, and people will say, well, why aren't there 4 or 5 or 6 guys all the time coming up? A lot of the guys that you had as your top minor league prospects at the start of the year are already here.
Without question, I think we went into spring training thinking this may be the best AAA team we were ever going to have, right. And then 3 weeks into the season, we had called up a few of those guys, and some of them, as we know, in like Nomar's case, never looked back. So we had designs of some of these guys spending more time in the minor leagues. The season just called for them earlier. And to their credit, when they came up, they did well enough to stick around. So at the end of the day, we called up 4 guys. Our AAA team is still playing, and they have their season ends on Monday. So I think we'll expect to call up a few more guys at the end of the season, because that's another thing you have to factor in. Even though it's time for September call-ups, we got to finish out the AAA season. We don't want to leave those guys totally naked. So we'll call up a few more guys come Tuesday of next week.
What can you tell us about Yohander Mendez? We haven't seen him.
Yeah, it's a tremendous job by 2 of our international scouts, Rafiq Saab, and then also, of course, Mike Daly, who was overseeing the department at the time. Extremely slender left-handed pitcher who they saw as a 15-year-old, and they encouraged JD and ultimately ownership to invest in him. It's a mature kid. He's a great strike thrower. He made it through our system largely on having a turbo changeup. So as a left-handed pitcher, he's 6'4". He's got great arm action on a changeup, almost to the point where we had to encourage him to pitch with his fastball because his changeup was so effective at the lower levels of the minor leagues. So he's now developed a well above average fastball. We see him as part of a strong starting rotation for years to come. As you guys experience throughout your careers, it's an opportunity for us to bring him up, let him showcase a little bit out of the bullpen, get his feet wet. We hope that he's going to come into spring training next year competing for a spot in the rotation. But right now we just want to give him a taste of what we hope to be an extremely exciting stretch drive here, get around some of the veterans. We'll use him as a reliever out of the bullpen. I expect we'll see him pitch maybe multiple innings out of the bullpen, and really just get a chance to get acclimated to the big leagues.
Well, at the trade deadline, he must have been an in-demand kind of guy in your farm system.
Yeah, that's one thing that the fans don't really hear about is you hear about the players we did trade,
yeah,
and we do feel that those were exceptionally talented players. But we actually kept track this year. We had other teams ask for 36 different players in our system this year, which was an all-time record for us. And Yohander's name was a name that came up repeatedly. He was the guy who, anytime we called another team, the first question was about Yohander Mendez.
I would have been embarrassed to offer our 36th guy to somebody.
Yeah, it was incredible. It really was once again, it's just a great testament to our amateur and professional scouts and our player development guys to put us in a position to acquire so many talented players in the major league level and still have such a depth in our system. Absolutely. That we kept getting calls from other teams. This was a rare trading deadline in so much as, even though we were a buyer, other teams were calling us to try to entice us to buy because they liked our minor league players that much. So they're hopeful that we like their major league players.
Is it still true that the most valuable currency is young pitching in baseball?
It is, and I think similarly so is just the young position players. For every player in the major leagues that you're paying $10+ million to, you have to offset it with a handful of guys making close to the major league minimum. When you can do that, and those guys are actual prominent contributors. Perfect example, the guy hitting right now, Rougned Odor, who is yet to hit arbitration. I mean, those guys are worth their weight in gold. Yeah. Don't tell him that when we're negotiating.
You could probably factor in sabermetrically the value that they have compared to some guys making $20 million, and they'd come out ahead.
Well, I think when we went to the playoffs in 2010, that was one thing that we remarked when we played the Yankees. We almost had at every position someone making less money, who then ultimately we ended up winning the series. And you kind of know when you've arrived when you've got that youth movement on the field, because it really allows you to invest in the right players, the right veterans, and the right free agents to complement that core, but still stay somewhat flexible payroll-wise to strike when you need to.
Well, not to change the subject, but when you talk about young players and you look down the road, this should be a pretty good rivalry for the next 6 or 7 years. The Astros have some pretty good young players too.
They've done a tremendous job. They ended up struggling for a handful of seasons, but they made the most of it. Those days are behind them, and they've got a tremendous nucleus of players on this team. quite frankly, he's similarly aged to a lot of our guys. And I think, as you mentioned, next 4 to 6 years, these guys are all going to be playing against each other, 18, 19 times a year, and it's going to be a pretty heated rivalry.
Yeah, I don't think that's the last double that he's going to hit against the Astros in his career.
No.
Rugnet is something. He is. Is there any way to predict that he's going to be able to come up the way he has and play as quickly as well as he has?
I think you bet on somebody's makeup. I mean, the talent throughout the minor leagues, I think, always was noteworthy. I felt like every time I saw him play in the minor leagues, there was always a prospect on the team who had more notoriety than he did. And all he did was outperform that guy every step of the way. Once again, Rafiq Saab, a name I mentioned earlier related to Yohander Mendez, he was the one who stepped out on Rougned Odor. At that time, I think Rougned thinks he's 6'4", but I think at that time he was closer to 5'7" or 5'8", and his pretty slender build. But Rafiq said this guy has a chance to be a future cornerstone for us, and it was tough to buy at the time. But boy, when you watch the guy play, he just wants to win a little bit more than anybody else. And I mean this as the highest praise. He reminds me a lot of Ian Kinsler in that regard. It's just. It's that will to win that is tough to quantify. And when you're talking about the best scouts in the world, I think that's something they have a real good handle on. And I think Rafiq did an excellent job, betting on this guy to be the chronic overachiever, and he's done that at every step of the way.
The thing I like about him too, and not that I'm a scout by any means, but the edge that he plays with, I think is contagious to the rest of the guys in the club too.
Without question. I actually had a conversation with a rival manager for another team who said, everyone in the league hates the way you play, and I wish we played the way you guys played.
Yeah, right.
and I think that when he said that, he was talking about guys like Rougned Odor and Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre and Jonathan Lucroy and Ian Desmond, and how they play the game. It doesn't necessarily endear them to everybody else in the league, but they admire the heck out of it and respect it and wish they had more guys on their team like that.
Yeah, it's not a
We're
contest.
blessed to have a few.
Not a contest to see who can get the most Christmas cards. Well, Altuve will take care of that. Rangers get a 2-out double with Strand Odor. Thad, thanks very much for joining us. We sure appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to watch your product out there right now.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
All right. After 3. I invite you to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Day with your first place Texas Rangers this Saturday. Rangers take on the Astros 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and head on out to the ballpark early for some special pregame celebration. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com for Hispanic Heritage Day. Well, A.J. Griffin back out to start the 4th inning. And with Carlos Correa up there, A.J. dropping that breaking ball in first pitch. Now 1 ball and 1 strike. Correa had a soft single to left field his first time up. Astros had both their hits and their only walk in that first inning. play down the right side. And that is one strength you'll see from Carlos Correa, his ability to take the ball to right and right center with authority. He has been known to, well, very much like Ian Desmond, go foul pole to foul pole with pretty good power. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rangers 2 runs on 5 hits tonight. The Astros 2 runs on 2 hits. The Astros have committed the only error of the ball game, and that led directly to the second Ranger run. Big fastball that almost got by Correa. Still 2-2.
I think one of the most, there's so many impressive things about Correa, but one of them is the fact that he's in the top 10 in the league in walks. For someone as young as he is, you don't generally see that, especially someone with power.
And with that base hit of the first inning, he now has an 8-game hitting streak that's seen him hit .440. This one got in on his fists, and Elvis throws out his counterpart. No, Evan Gattis coming up, but first we're going to send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Evan Gattis had the sacrifice fly back in the first inning that finished off the Astros scoring. There's the American League wild card competition, a tight race with Boston leading by a couple of games over Baltimore and Detroit. Houston a game back, and then the Yankees 2.5 back. Kansas City has played themselves back into the middle of that race at 3 back. 1-1 pitch from Griffin. 1-2.
Pretty well located pitches right there at the bottom outside part of the strike zone. Curveball, then a fastball.
AJ, as you heard Thad Levine talk about that up and down ability sometimes in pitching, and AJ Griffin, very typical of a guy who likes to work that way. Pulled weakly to Adrian. 2 gone. That's 10 straight now sent down by A.J. Griffin. And after that sacrifice fly to Gattis, or including that sacrifice fly, A.J. has had Astros hitters pretty well off balance. A good job of locating fastballs, well-timed breaking balls, an occasional changeup. He and Jonathan Lucroy working very well together right now.
Yeah, the one guy that hit the ball hard was Bregman. Hit his home run to left field. But the single that ended up leading to another run by Correa was just a little blooper to left field.
Yep.
So after the home run, not much in the way of hard hit balls.
Colby Rasmus went down swinging at that slow bender his first time. 1-1. Boy, in this kind of deal, this is so important when a pitcher and catcher get on the same page. No hesitation. It seems like they have the feel for what the next pitch needs to be, where it needs to be thrown. And generally, you get a catcher like Jonathan Lucroy back there, what the hitter does will dictate what the next pitch is going to be. The way he took that inside fastball probably signaled to Lucroy, hey, it's time to make that changeup curveball work.
Yeah, Lucroy didn't waste much time putting that curveball sign down too. He had a pretty good idea what he was going to call.
Wants that fastball inside. Got it away, but that's going to be an out to Carlos Gomez in front of the warning track. Nice job by A.J. Griffin, who is now retired. 11 straight Astros. We finished 3.5. It's the Rangers 2, the Astros 2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
2 Rangers and Astros all tied up, and this was the scene a little bit earlier today. Everyone wondering what all the gold is about. Now, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so a number of people on hand here to kick off September the right way. A lot of the guys wearing gold wristbands, any kind of gold anywhere they can get it. Those of us on the broadcast crew wearing these little gold pins on our lapel as well, so all in an effort to raise awareness for childhood cancer and, of course, ultimately finding a cure for those cancers. Guys.
All right, Ed, thank you. Well, Mitch Moreland opened up the Ranger 4th inning with a bouncing ball through the right side. Oh, Mitch aboard with a leadoff single. Now Carlos Gomez.
Not that easy for Mitch to bounce a ball through the right side of the infield the way this shift is on. Reed couldn't quite get to it, but it was a very well placed bouncer.
Yeah, I was looking up about the time he hit that. I wasn't sure that the overshift was on, that Correa was all the way over.
Well, I'm not sure either. I just assumed it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was too.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, he was. He was
over
there. That's a larger hole between Altuve and Reed than we normally see.
Yeah, fortunately that ball was hit closer to Reed than it was toward Altuve. Otherwise it would have been an out.
Pfister missing with the first 2 pitches to Carlos Gomez. 2-0 the count. Gomez had that double to right center his first time. That wasn't that short quick stroke that you were talking about the other night.
He had an open shot at one right there and a 2-0 count.
It's okay. You might as well do it every once in a while. Up the middle. That's into center field, a base hit. Mitch will stop at second. Well, Carlos Gomez 2 for 2. Boy, the last 3 ball games now. Gomez laying out some rope.
And that was a nice short quick stroke right there. He had a 2-0 count. He went for it. Now he shortens up a little bit and goes back through the middle. Watch a nice short quick stroke. No helmet flying off on that swing.
Nope.
That's some good hitting right there by Pfister, and it had to be hit hard to get by Altuve. Well, good start to the 4th inning.
Well, first and second, nobody out. The number 9 man, Elvis Andrus, is at the plate. Elvis had an RBI on what was charged an error to the first baseman, A.J. Reed. He hammers one to left field. That is hooking toward the corner. One hop off the wall. Moreland scores. Being stopped at third is Gomez, an RBI double for Elvis Andrus. The Rangers take the lead 3-2.
I don't know if the Astros and Pfister thought that Elvis might be bunting, but he wasn't bunting, and he jumped on the first pitch that he saw. Pfister has thrown some fastballs near the middle of the plate on the first pitch a few times. A couple of times the Rangers have taken them, but Elvis looking for a pitch that never got inside where Pfister wanted it. Top of the middle of the strike zone. Elvis smokes it to left field.
Yeah, and Pfister not being able to throw even 90 anymore. He never was a real hard thrower, but that get-ahead fastball is not a good place up at the top of the zone for him. Here's Mazzara. He laces one to center. Gomez tagging at third. He will come in to score. The throw goes to third. And Elvis sliding in as the ball overshoots Bregman. Sacrifice fly by Mazzara. Rangers lead it 4-2.
And it was hit far enough to where it was a sacrifice fly, but it also moved Elvis from second to third, where he will be with 1 out for Ian Desmond. He has a chance to bring in a run.
A single, double, sac fly. Rangers with 2 on the board. The infield pulled all the way in now. Desmond takes strike 1.
And Pfister's waiting to see where he needs to back up. He goes toward home,
yep.
Sees the throw, and luckily he got back over there to back that play up.
That's one of those ones where a pitcher has to go halfway between home and third, and then watch where the throw's going.
Yeah, if the throw comes home, then the outfielder made a mistake trying to throw it there. As far out as he was.
Desmond a double in 2 trips. Way outside, backhanded by Castro. It's 2-1. Yeah, the bad part about having to do that as a pitcher, no matter where you go, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever get so frustrated with what happened that you didn't back up a base?
It was so ingrained in me that I just automatically did it. Didn't even have time to think, should I or not. Hard hit, but a one hopper that's caught by Reed. He watches Elvis all the way over to the bag.
You know, with 4 runs in on 8 hits, the Rangers have still missed a couple of extra opportunities to pick up runs. With men on third base and less than 2 outs, several times that's happened in the ball game. 3rd inning, 4th inning, and in the 1st inning when it was 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. So good offense, 8 hits and 4 runs. Could be even a little bit better.
Well, what they need is a big 2-out hit by Carlos Beltran.
That'll take care of it.
Would help. And he pops up that first pitch, but that'll be back into the seats. 0-1. Beltran tonight has flied to right and grounded to short. With 2 outs now, the infield back at normal depth. Carlos, 75 runs driven in this year between the Yankees and the Rangers. First time Doug Fister has given up more than 2 runs to the Rangers in the last 6 outings. Nice job by Jason Castro to smother that breaking ball in the dirt.
Elvis had taken a couple of quick steps. As soon as that ball hit the ground, he took a couple of steps. So it didn't have to get too far away from Jason Castro, and Elvis would have scored.
Center field. That ball's hit pretty well. Marisnik on the run at the wall. Goodbye.
That's the 2-out hit you're talking about?
Yeah, that's one of them. Carlos Beltran, a 2-run blast. The Rangers lead it 6-2. And Globe Life Park is a sea of red and white.
Well, both rallies, right in the middle of both rallies, has been Carlos Gomez with a double and a single and a run scored. And so I'm sure he's enjoying that. He's not going to make a big deal out of the fact that it's his former team. But it still feels good for a player to perform like that, no matter who you're playing.
That smile goes all the way inside. Boy, Beltran getting that pitch up and out over the plate. Beltran rips one, but he hooked it foul. And 1 ball and 1 strike.
Some ropes hit by the Rangers in this game through 4 innings.
Beltran knew what to do when he made contact. He just put the bat down and kept on going. What if he has a license to drill for oil right there?
Hanser Alberto's back, jumping over that little fence in front of the dugout.
.418th home run of his career for Carlos Beltran. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Adrian Beltre, one of the best when he gets 2 strikes. 55, almost 56% of his swings are put in play once he gets the 2 strikes. Major League average is less than 39%. Fouled down. Adrian strikes out among the fewest of any American League hitter. And that ability to put the ball in play with 2 strikes, one of the reasons. Fister with a new baseball and taking a little walk now back up on top. Base is empty. 4 runs across for the Rangers here in the 4th inning. Beltre chasing the Astros off that top rail a few times. Strikeout rate, you're talking about Adrian Beltre, third fewest, or third least strikeouts per, at bats per strikeout. Altuve just ahead of him. Towering pop foul. That is way up there. Bregman over to take a look, but back 5 rows. Micah Feliz in the Astros bullpen. Two and two as Beltre gets back into the box. Now full count. Well, the string is run all the way out to Adrian. If he's able to keep this 4th inning going, Rougned Odor is in that on-deck circle. Pfister with a payoff pitch. Adrian stomping around. I think he hit himself about 4 different places with that foul ball. And our stat of the day for you, talking about Major League analytics. Average pitches on average on inside pitches. Jose Altuve and Adrian Beltre 1-2 in all of baseball.
Yeah, look at that Fox tracks, Buzz.
Yeah.
It's one of those, that one last pitch was a foot inside.
That's probably one, if he doesn't make contact, it hits him in the belt buckle.
He keeps Pfister's firing him in there, one right after the other. Adrian's saying, I don't want to walk. I'm going to get something to hit.
Yeah, and I don't believe Pfister thinks he can hit any of those balls fair.
No.
So he's going to keep on throwing it in there.
Yeah.
Until he decides, okay, it's time for a slider. Another 3-2 coming from the 6'8" right-hander. He didn't swing at that one. That's ball 4.
He couldn't swing at that one, I don't think.
A.J. Hinch keeping some notes and might be on the verge of going to the bullpen.
Well, Pfister's on the verge of coming out of a game without going 5 innings for the 3rd time in 4 starts.
So A.J. Hinch consulting with his pitching coach Brent Strom. Well, here's Rougned. Had a double into the right field corner his last time up. That ball is ripped high and deep to right field. Goodbye.
He waited on that off-speed pitch and right over the bullpen.
Home run number 28 for Rougned Odor. 8-2 Rangers.
That was a carbon copy of the home run he hit, the second home run he hit last game, where he waited on an off-speed pitch and pulled it into the upper deck. That one didn't go far enough to the right to go in the upper deck, but it went a long way, all the way over the Ranger bullpen. And plus, you know, for several days last week, we were talking about the Rangers. Really, since the All-Star break and since the new guys got here, we're playing great. But the offense was better, and it really hadn't gelled all the way yet. Looks like it's starting to do that right now.
Yeah. The Seattle series, especially the last couple of games, and tonight, that hanging breaking ball and Odor all over it, on that thing like a cheap suit. No, Odor, 28 home runs. Rangers put 6 on the board and chase Doug Pfister from the ball game. Pitching change underway with Michael Feliz coming in from the bullpen. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this. because of the Ranger bats. 8 runs on 10 hits against Doug Fister in 3 2/3. Fister driven from the ball game by that man, Rougned Odor and company. And Michael Feliz, the 23-year-old right-hander, now has entered the ball game. Feliz making his 40th appearance of the year. He's 8-1. He has been the guy that has come into ball games when the Astros have come back to win. Feliz dealing now to Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy has 1 for 2 tonight. He's going to slice back into the seats, and the count moves to a ball and a strike. Lucroy singled and scored. Came around to score the first Ranger run in the 2nd inning. Average now for the year at .299 for the Ranger catcher. That ball's ripped to left field. It is down the line, and goodbye! A low line drive from Lucroy, his 21st home run. It is 9-2 Rangers.
Well, he hit it hard, but it looked like he hit a hooking line drive. Hit off the bat, didn't look like it would go out of the ballpark, but that thing just kept going. Kept carrying. What the Rangers hit the last game? 5 home runs?
5, yeah.
A couple more this inning.
Yeah, 3 in this inning. They're trying to get 5 in the inning.
About as hard as you can hit the ball through 4 innings.
Yeah.
Doubles, home runs, you name it.
Now, Lucroy with his 8th home run since joining the Rangers exactly a month ago. Now Mitch Moreland. Mitch started this whole inning by singling to right field.
That's a hanging breaking ball on the inside part of the plate. Never got to the location that he wanted it. And right now, to the Ranger lineup, mistakes are getting hammered, boy.
Yes, they are.
You better make some good pitches, or this is what's going to happen. Just skimmed over the 354 sign.
It might not have made it over by much, but that wall could have been back another 15 feet and still would have gone over.
It didn't take long to get wherever it ended up.
They are having some fun. Mitch takes low. It's 3 balls and a strike. Jonathan Lucroy, another 5-run inning. Rangers now with 17. They are 2 behind Boston for the year, and that's after going about a month and a half without one. Moreland, a high drive to left field, going back, and with room is Colby Rasmus. Mitch gave it a try the other way, but came up about 10 feet short. Rangers, however, put 7 on the board. 3 home runs in the inning. The first one by Carlos Beltran. And then it was Rougned Odor, another 2-run blast. After 4, 9-2 Rangers. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today during the final days of the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Carlos Beltran, one of 3 home runs in the Ranger 4th inning. Rougned Odor had another 2-run blast. And Jonathan Lucroy added his 21st of the year. So a 7-run advantage for A.J. Griffin as he faces the bottom third of the Astro order here in the 5th inning. Pitch inside to A.J. Reed, who popped out to third his first time up. Reed hitting at 170. And he pops one up into shallow right center. A trio of Rangers going out. Ian Desmond calling off Elvis Andrus. 1 gone.
As we said last inning, Buzz, a nice job of settling down by A.J.
Yep.
It's at 9, 10, 12 straight retired.
Kids out here making everyone aware of the need to fight childhood cancer. Great to see them out. Had a real nice get together prior to the ball game on the field. Barry Collin, of course, very much involved in that. He was out there presenting some awards to folks. Jason Castro 0 for 1 with a fly ball to left. High fly ball to right. Mazzara back right at the wall, and that one is gone. Into the first row for Jason Castro. His 10th of the year. That makes it a 9-3 Houston lead. A towering fly ball that just kept on carrying. Castro double figures in hits, or in home runs, one more time. That's his 4th double figure home run season for the Astros. Second home run of the night off of A.J. Griffin. And Jake Marisnik takes one just a little high for ball 1. If Mazzara had 5 more feet, he could have made the play. Now Jonathan Lucroy going to go out and see if he can calm down and refocus A.J. Griffin. That's all the room you have right there. So message relayed. 2 balls, no strikes to Marisnik. Now 3-0. Now Marisnik, the number 9 hitter. Not a good idea to walk the number 9 hitter in this order. Or any order for that matter, but this one in particular, George Springer.
I think it stands out in this lineup, Buzz. You're sure, that's right. First 4 guys, they've packed their 4 best hitters right at the top of the lineup.
Out of play. Oh, Griffin able to come back, get 2 quick strikes to fill the count. In the last 5 games, Jake Marisnik having some problems. 7 strikeouts and 11 at bats. Another foul back. You remember A.J. Griffin went through a streak where the 5th inning was very problematic for him. And he'd go through 3 or 4 very good innings and then get to the 5th. And darn if he wouldn't run into trouble almost every time out for about 5 starts. Slicing fly ball down the right side. Over to take a look at Mazzara, but that's well back and out of play. Still 3-2. A.J., though, as I mentioned, winning his last start. In fine fashion, 6 shutout innings against Cleveland. Hoping to be able to build on that tonight, and he's only given up 3 hits this evening. 2 of them have been home runs. Second time through the order little bit difficult for him. But if he's able to weather that, then the sailing gets fairly smooth. Right now, trying to dispose of Marisnik, who is being very much a pest with that bat. Still 3-2. Gonna need a 10th pitch of this at bat. Got him on the fists, and Marisnik pretty quick with the bat. He's able to hit it fairly hard, but pull it to foul by a foot or two. Slow breaking ball, and he didn't get it close enough to tempt Marisnik. It's an 11-pitch walk for A.J. Griffin. Folks, Sunday, September the 4th, is Bluebell Ice Cream Sunday out here at Globe Life Park. Ice cream is just $1 for youngsters 13 and under. Come on out and see your Rangers. The first place Rangers take on the Houston Astros. Find your tickets for this Sunday at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Strike one to George Springer. Springer has tapped back to the mound and been called out on strikes. A.J. Griffin's been able to get inside almost at will to George Springer the first 2 times up. That's no guarantee the third time. Somebody must have greased up the batter's box and he fell down.
Yeah, Springer really has one gear at the plate, and that's it right there.
Yeah.
He's a patient hitter. He's walked 73 times. That's the 5th in the league. But when he lets it go, he lets it fly.
0-2. Got him swinging. Second time that Springer's gone down on strikes. That is 4 punch-outs for A.J. Griffin. Alex Bregman will be next.
Now, the high fastball at 89 miles an hour is very effective when you combine it with that slow curveball. He throws enough of the curveballs to where it keeps him off that fastball many times.
Does a hitter see those 2 pitches starting in the same plane?
Yeah,
same
they
spot?
do. Yeah, they start in the same spot.
So it's difficult to determine which is which before it gets to you?
Yeah, when you see his motion, he doesn't give up what kind of pitch it's going to be. And the change of speeds, even if you kind of gauge the curveball, it's so slow you can't wait on it.
Well, a run on the home run from Castro. This is for a 3-game weekend series, September 16th through the 18th. And come on out and support your Rangers on Friday, September 16th, and enjoy a post-game fireworks show. Use the coupon code FIREWORKS to get upper level tickets for just $14 at TexasRangers.com/specials. The Rangers leading 9-3 as Carlos Gomez starting things off. It'll be Gomez, Andrus, and Mazara to face Michael Feliz. 2 balls, no strikes. Carlos Gomez, a single, a double, 2 runs scored. Facing his former team for the first time as a Ranger. 3 balls, no strikes. Well, a nice shot from right behind home plate. Our RF camera roaming around the Globe Life Park. Nice Friday night crowd out here tonight, too. Big weekend series, and a lot of folks coming out to support the Rangers. Ball 4. Gomez aboard for the 3rd straight time. That's how the Ranger 5th inning begins. And before Elvis steps in, we're going to send it back over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Elvis Andrus 1 out of 2 tonight with a couple of runs driven in. Elvis had an RBI double in the 4th inning. Also came around to scoring, and he had an RBI on what turned into a 3-base error in the 2nd inning. Now Elvis now 58 runs driven in this year. Sneaking up, his career high is 67. Well, Elvis well within reach of that. Rangers 28 games to go. And Elvis at 294 would be a career best if you were to finish at that mark. Michael Feliz making Carlos Gomez get dirty over there at first. Diamondback. There goes Gomez. The pitch is hit for right, a base hit. Gomez will continue on around to 3rd, never even slowing down.
The Rangers are pretty much doing anything they want in this ball game. They're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. They're hitting doubles. They're hitting run where you can't execute the hit and run any better than this. But the advantage of a fast runner who can steal the base anyway.
Yeah.
And Elvis, who's going the other way, not just grounding a ball, but driving a ground ball to right field.
No, Elvis a 2-hit night. Carlos Gomez around to 3rd has been on base all 3 times with 2 hits and a walk. Nomar Mazara coming up for the 4th time in 5 innings. Mazara had a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. Infield all the way in. There goes Elvis. The pitch is a strike. The throw to second is not in time. Elvis swiping second to get into scoring position. '21st stolen base of the year.
Throw had to be on the other side of the bag to have any chance based on the jump that Elvis got.
That's Elvis's 21st. That's the Rangers' 78th of the year. Up the middle, but right there is Correa. And he throws out Mazara, 1 gone. Both Gomez and Andrus have to hold their positions. He and Desmond will be next. Desmond 1 for 3, had a 1st inning double. Other than that, is fly to right and grounded sharply to 1st. Again, the infield staying right in at the cut of the grass. Desmond hitting at 290. Castro again doing a nice job of blocking that pitch in the dirt. Desmond, 78 runs driven in. Rangers 2 for 11 tonight is all with runners in scoring position. The team average second in the American League at 278. They've been clicking with runners in scoring position tonight. They'd be in double figures in runs with no problem. Check swing strike, 1-1. Tom, you're talking about turning on the offense, and Rangers hit 343 in the 3-game series against Seattle. Scored 28 runs in those 3 games, so better than 9 runs a game. And here they put 9 on the board in the first 4 innings plus tonight. The 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Rangers have gone through kind of a lull as action begins again. Hoyt, the right-hander, throwing in the Astros bullpen. Rangers have gone through a lull about the last week in June, right after the Yankees series in New York. Inside and low, 3-1. We talked about Ian Desmond's double, and Jake Marisnick doing a great job of getting over to cut that off.
Yeah, he's done that twice tonight. Pretty much the exact same play, the exact same throw. Balls were hit the same. He was situated to start a little bit differently, but he got there and did the same thing on both of them.
Ball 4. That'll load him up for Beltran.
And here's the one that Gomez hits. See where Marisnick goes. About the same distance, but based on where he started, it wasn't quite as far into right field. But watch the throw. Almost the exact same way he threw it.
Marisnick showing off his outfield skills. Brent Strom, the pitching coach for the Astros, out to talk to Michael Phillies. Very specific instructions that he is imparting to Phillies.
Yeah, I got that message. It didn't take any exceptional ability to read lips.
No. Now we'll take you back our AT&T high-speed internet replay. Last inning. 1 on. Carlos Beltran, number 26 this year, out on Greens Hill. That was high speed. So up there again, bases full, 1 out. Phillies to Beltran. 0-1. Carlos with 11 career grand slams. He's got Gomez, Andrus, and Desmond, third, second, and first. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, the message was very firm from Brent Strom to Michael Phillies, and the fastball's a couple miles an hour faster right now than it was before that visit.
Throw the ball.
That's pretty much what he said.
In the dirt, 2-1. That's not making Brent any happier. My old college teammate.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. 2-1 pitch. 3-1. Well, Phillies really working himself into a jam here. No place to put Beltran. Bases full. Beltran, the number 3 hitter, to be followed by Adrian Beltre. Crowd going for the jugular. Ball 4, a run comes in. Beltran takes the walk. Gomez scores. The Rangers lead at 10-3. back-to-back walks. Desmond and Beltran. And that is going to do it. Michael Feliz gives the ball to A.J. Hinch. And we're going to have another pitching change. Bases remain loaded. Rangers with a run across, looking for more here in the fifth. We're back right after this. Year. A lot of folks joining us that may not have watched too many Ranger games earlier in the year. We appreciate you coming in for the stretch dive. Beltran coming to the plate. Adrian, one of the best in the business. 5'11", 220, age 37 this year. He debuted in 1998 with the Los Angeles Dodgers at 19 years of age. His best year in LA, he hit 48 home runs, drove in 121. Well, he hit 334. That was the last season he played in Los Angeles. Went up to Seattle on a big 5-year deal and kind of fell under the radar for a while. Went to the Red Sox, and then the Rangers signed him for the 2011 season. And the rest, as they say, is great history.
I would like to see what Adrian could make today under the same circumstances. He had his best year, 330, 48 home runs, 120 RBIs, and he was 25 years old when he became a free agent. He hadn't even entered the prime. He was just getting ready to enter the prime of his career. And that would have been one of those 10-year whatever. Today, and today's money, over $200 million.
Right.
Easy. If you want to hit the jackpot, get to the big leagues early, and then have your best year in your 6th season right before free agency.
And you're probably smarter if you do it in LA or New York. One of the two cities.
Yeah, that would help. But once you become a free agent,
well, that's true. Yeah.
Then you've got your choice. But while you're doing it with one of those cities, you're getting the maximum publicity for sure.
Well, James Hoyt on the 0-2 pitch, and Beltran fouls it off to the right. Adrian this season with runners in scoring position, close to money in the bank. 346, 8 home runs, 67 of his 89 RBI have come in these situations. He has a trio of Rangers on the bases for him. 1 out, a run across here in the Ranger 5th. James Hoyt and Beltran. Ground ball, they'll step on third across the diamond. The double play, and that ends the inning. Well, the Rangers limited to 1 run. They end up stranding 2. We will go on to the 6th inning. It's now the Rangers 10 and the Astros 3. and Medical Center Arlington this weekend on Sunday for the 5th annual Rangers Labor Day race. Enjoy the scenic 5K course, and that finishes up right here on the field. Or you can bring the whole family for a 1K fun run. Just visit TexasRangers.com/race to sign up. Well, A.J. Griffin back out to the hill for inning number 6. Leading now 10-3 as Rangers got that run back that he gave to the Astros in the 5th inning. He will face Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, and Evan Gattis. Third time through the order for A.J. Griffin. 1 ball and no strikes. Altuve has walked and scored. That was back in the 1st inning, and last time up in the 3rd, fly to right field. Jose having a little trouble waiting long enough tonight for that slow hook. That's about the 4th one that he could have swung out 4 or 5 times before he got to the plate. AJ messing with him pretty good. Tried another one but left it high. 2-1. Altuve, a little bit of a lull offensively for him. 2-2. Altuve lately, he was 2 for 11 against the just completed Oakland in the just completed Oakland series. Waited on that one, but popped it up. Probably wish he hadn't swung at it. Elvis takes care of it. That was on the low end of that 90 top end to 65 low end. Tough to handle 25 miles an hour difference.
It is.
Alex Claudio.
There's about 20 miles an hour difference.
Yeah. Yeah, what did we have him the other night? He went from 87 to 65?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that.
22? Carlos Correa has singled and grounded to short. First ball swinging way up in the air down the right field line. That's going to slice back into the seats. Rudnett and Mitch and Nomar Mazara all over there to take a look. Mitch saying, quit running so fast, you're making me look bad. Rudnett said, I wasn't running fast. The 0-1 pitch. 0-2. Talking about AJ, how about our Kubota power stats for tonight? Subject, AJ Griffin, retired 15 of the last 17 batters he's faced. And had Correa reaching for that off-speed pitch. Only batters to reach since the 1st inning. Then the home run by Jason Castro with nobody on base. And Jake Marisnick followed that with a walk. Other than that, nothing going against A.J. Griffin. 1-2. Rangers tonight 10 runs on a dozen hits. Astros have managed 3 hits against A.J. Griffin and 3 runs. Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. He appealed down to first base, and that is strike 3.
Another one of those high fastballs that the hitter has trouble with. They have trouble with a high fastball. They're a little bit late on it. Offer it some a little bit out of the strike zone, then way out in front of the curveball.
Correa not able to check his swing, and that is out number 2 for A.J. Griffin. That is his 5th strikeout of the night. Well, here's Evan Gattis, who's had a sacrifice fly and a ground ball to 3rd. Gattis got that figured out. He was going to run halfway out to the mound before that thing got there. See if he could catch it in mid-flight. One ball and 1 strike. Mentioned Gattis, one of the hotter Astro hitters over the last month. In a .330 hitter. He's also had 8 RBI now in his last 7 ball games. One and 2.
You just have to sense a little bit of frustration on the part of the Astros. I don't think anyone's waited and hit that curveball well in the game.
No. Now the crowd waving the white rally towels and encouraging A.J. Griffin and the Rangers to get this done. That ball's almost by Gaddis. Still 1-2. 97 pitches for the Ranger right-hander. And that was why you saw Alex Claudio warming in that Ranger bullpen. Rangers have a little lower threshold as far as leeway pitch count wise with A.J. Griffin. I believe A.J. at about 90 pitches. That's what when he starts to have some kinds of problems. Pretty good sequence, curveball, high fastball. Tried to drop that curve in and miss. It's 3-2. But that just pointed out, Tom, what you were talking about. The pitch is starting on the same plane up there and not really having a whole lot of time to make up your mind which one it is. Breaking ball, and that just missed the outside corner. Gaddis draws the 2-out walk.
The Rangers had a note on A.J. Griffin. The 4th starter in club history to open his Ranger career with at least a 3-0 record while allowing 3 or fewer runs every start. I only want to mention this because the one that's done it the best in 73 and 74 was Jackie Brown, was 7-0. Started under the same circumstances. A.J. was 3-0. This will be it for A.J. Mid-90s with his pitch count. Got a deep bullpen and a rested bullpen, so no sense pushing the starter.
A.J. getting a standing ovation from the crowd behind the Ranger dugout. Good job by the right-hander. He will leave with a runner on and 2 outs here in the 6th. Alex Claudio being summoned from the Ranger bullpen as he makes his way in. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this. Left-hander has really become an important part of the Ranger bullpen, and Jeff Bannister loves to talk about the games that Claudio's come in and given him more than 2 innings of work. And 15 games since his recall from Round Rock. 2-0 with a 154, just 4 walks and 15 strikeouts. A lot of ground balls, almost 75% ground balls from Alex Claudio. But his ability to go out and get multiple innings, especially in a tough ball game where the opposition may be swinging the bats real well, Alex is able to come in and calm that down and not give up anything, give the Rangers an opportunity to come back and score some more. That's not the case now, as he enters the ball game with the Rangers leading 10-3 in the 6th inning, and he's going to face the left-hander Colby Rasmus, and almost drilled him with the first pitch. Rasmus 0 for 2 tonight with a strikeout and a fly out to left field. Ranger infield shifted well around to the right. As that breaking ball catches the front door. Adrian Beltre on the third base side of the diamond, about 40 feet from the bag at third. Tony Barnett, the right-hander, loosening in the Ranger bullpen. 1-1 pitch coming to Rasmus. He waited nicely on that and hit the tar out of it. Pulled it about 60 feet foul. A.J. Griffin tonight, 5 2/3 innings, just 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. 2 of the 3 hits were home runs. His responsibility for Evan Gattis at first. Now the 1-2. Loop to right, Mazzara. To his right. That'll do it. Claudio comes in to get Rasmus on a fly ball. And the Astros gone in the 6th. No runs, no hits, 1 left after 5 1/2. Rangers 10, Astros 3 on Fox Sports Southwest. It's time now for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $600 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Teresa Picaro from Mansfield will win $600. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Teresa is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Rougned Odor starting things off for the Rangers here in the 6th inning. A new pitcher on the hill for the Houston Astros. It is the only left-hander in their bullpen. It will be the veteran southpaw Tony Sipp. First pitch to Odor is in at the knees for strike 1. Tony Sipp, his 50th appearance of the year. 1 and 2 with a .566, with the league hitting .320 against the 33-year-old from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Nothing and 2. Our TXU Energy power player to watch tonight, Rougned Odor. And if you've been watching, you know what he's done. He's doubled and homered. He's now 8 for 13 with 4 home runs in the last 3 games. 9 RBI, 5 runs scored. Video game number.
That's hot.
1 and 2. And a 2 home run game against Seattle on Wednesday. And a home run to win the game on Tuesday night, a walk-off home run. And then he's homered tonight. He homered in the 4th inning tonight, a 2-run blast. Zips 1-2 pitch to him. 2 and 2. Yuli Gurriel, the much ballyhooed 32-year-old from Cuba that the Astros signed back in July. Gurriel, a third baseman by trade, but the Astros have played him at third some, but at first and in left field. So he can really swing the bat. Defensive skills are a little short. Astros, though, signed him to a 5-year contract. I believe it was 5 years. A.J. Hinch, happy to have another guy right in the middle of that order that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. 3-2 to Odor.
I think, Buzz, as you look at the Astro lineup, that's what they need. They need a couple of more strong bats to, as they say, lengthen the lineup a little bit. They've got the 4 guys at the top, but after Correa hits cleanup, they kind of struggle with the rest of their lineup, trying to put some guys into the lineup that can hit for average and drive the ball, and maybe Gurriel will be one of them.
Another 3-2 coming to Odor. Walked him.
That's not easy to do.
Rookie will take the walk this time. I think that's kind of what Brent Strom was thinking. It's tough to walk that guy.
That's only the 14th time this year that Rookie has walked. But he laid off some of those sliders that were kind of tempting, so that wasn't very patient at bat for him.
Well, the at bat when he hit the walk-off home run on Tuesday night, he laid off a couple of tough pitches.
Right before that.
Right before he hit the ball out of the park.
Yeah, he sure did.
No, Odor at first, nobody out. Jonathan Lucroy has homered and singled. He has scored twice, driven in one. Lucroy average back up to an even 300 as he takes strike one. 21 home runs, 68 RBI for the Ranger catcher. That's a pretty good first month. You think he's had 8 home runs and driven in 18. Double play ball. Correa comes up with it. Altuve turns it.
You won't see a better double play than that. A beautiful play by Correa. 21 years old. Batting fourth. Going to knock in 100 runs. He plays that kind of shortstop. What a player.
Well, last year's American League Rookie of the Year and plays like this. You'll understand why.
Yeah, before his career is over, he's got a pretty good chance of having multiple MVP awards.
It's going to be a dogfight between him and his double play partner.
Altuve's got a pretty good shot to win the one this year. Look at this hit.
Mitch.
Look at that thing of beauty.
He's got to have a smile from ear to ear.
Even the fans like that one.
Now somebody's going to say, well, why don't you just do that all the time? Just bunt the ball that way.
That's all he's got to do.
Not that easy.
Yeah. He said, it's 10-3. You can't bunt when it's 10-3. You got to swing the bat. That's funny.
Mitch, you say that's my best bolt right there going against a left-hander.
Oh, no. I made contact on the check swing. Oh, all right. Space hit.
Nobody over there. Oh, goodness. For Mitch, that's his second hit of the night. Now, he is aboard. Here's Carlos Gomez. Gomez has been on all 3 times that he's come to the plate. Single, a double, and a walk, and he has scored all 3 times that he's been on base. Rangers now a baker's dozen worth of hits, 13 of them tonight. They continue to pile up the offensive numbers. At the knees for strike one. Five hits in his last 8 times to the plate, playing against his former club. And I got to think there's some folks over in the Astros dugout say, where was this guy?
He was just waiting to become a Ranger.
Yeah. Well, yeah, talking to Thad Levine too about bringing Carlos Gomez over here, a redemption, if you will. But think when you look at the makeup of the two clubs, you have Beltran and Beltre and Desmond and recognized veterans. For a guy like Gomez, he doesn't have to do anything but come over and be one of the guys.
Well, very comfortable situation.
And I think probably with the Astros, he was looked up to by a lot of the younger players. And he's gone on strikes here. That'll do it for the Rangers. No runs on a hit. They strand one. We have finished 6 innings at Globe Life Park. It's the Rangers 10 and the Astros 3. A close ball game for the first 3, and then the Rangers in the 4th inning started off with a 2-run Beltran bomb to center field. Then it was Rougned Odor, his turn, going deep to right over the bullpen. And leading, or I should say, and finishing off the inning, Jonathan Lucroy. A line drive smash that got out of here over the 354 sign. 3 home runs and a 7-run 4th inning. Put the Rangers up 9-2. They are now ahead 10-3. As Alex Claudio goes to work here in the 7th inning. And Gurriel, first hitter he faces, singles right back through the middle on the first pitch he sees. Get a chance to. Hey, the Gurriel hit in the first 5 starts that he made for the Astros. So his reputation is being able to swing the bat, backed up by what he's been able to do. No one on, nobody out. Jason Castro, who had the solo home run in the 5th inning. Nothing in 1. Castro now 10 home runs for the 4th consecutive season. Excuse me, it's not consecutive. Yes, it is. Take it back. It is the 4th consecutive. That is an Astros record for catchers. Alan Ashby, who's in the booth next to us, had the previous record. Pitch outside, and the count moves to 1-1. There's Allen. Jeff Blum, his broadcast partner. Just a little bit outside, 2 balls and a strike. Castro, over his last 11 ball games, has hit right at 300. And he's now had 4 home runs in that span also. Low for ball 3. Well, it's not missing by a lot, but he has fallen behind Jason Castro. Castro, the number 8 hitter, followed by the center fielder, Jake Marisnick. Tony Barnett. And as you look past Castro, a lot of right-handed hitters lining up. This figures to be the last hitter for Alex Claudio, possibly. This is an explosive Astros team, and with the top of the order only a couple of hitters away, you'd hate for him to get a mounted charge with the guys at the bottom of the order and turn that lineup over. 3-2 pitch coming. Lost him. 2 on with nobody out. Marisnick coming up, and Jeff Bannister headed out in a slow walk out to the mound. He signals to the bullpen. He wants Tony Barnett to come into this ball game. He will inherit runners at first and second. Nobody out here in the 7th inning. Rangers leading 10-3 with Tony coming in. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this. Adrian Beltre, for the folks that maybe not know too much about Adrian's background before he became a Ranger. Beltre at age 37 now, joining the Rangers in 2011, signed as a free agent, reached 2,000 hits and 300 home runs that year as the Rangers made it to the World Series the 2nd straight year. Came within 1 out of getting their World Series championship. Player of the Year for the Rangers in 2012, 13, and 14. Adrian Beltre, he was the Player of the Month for August for the Rangers this year. That's the 9th time since he became a Ranger in 2011 for Adrian to be accorded that award by the Rangers. That's the most since that award has been given out, starting in 1998 with the Rangers. Here's Tony Barnett, and Tony Kemp is the hitter, coming up as a pinch hitter for Jake Marisnick. First, Tony Barnett, 50th ball game of the year for the right-hander. 2.25 ERA, the league hitting 2.44 against him. Tony Barnett has been very good in these situations. Kemp shoots that pitch foul down the right side. Tony Barnett, coming into ball games this year, has inherited 35 runners. Only 8 of them have scored. That's a very good percentage of non-scoring runners. And he has inherited Jason Castro at first. He is trailing Yuli Gurriel down at second. Tony Kemp, a 228 hitter. Speedy outfielder for the Astros. 2 balls and a strike. Kemp used on Wednesday against Oakland as a pinch hitter, went 0 for 1 in that outing. That is shot out of play down the left side. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Tony Barnett, the 32-year-old rookie right-hander out of Alaska. Played his collegiate ball in Arizona. Drafted and signed by the Diamondbacks out of college. Then he has spent the last 6 years refining his craft in Japan. Got him swinging like a backdoor cutter, and Kemp down on strikes. A big out, number 1. Let's go down to Emily Jones.
You guys were talking about Adrian Beltre and how he made his way here to Texas. He told me the greatest story a couple years ago about when he got called up. It was because Bobby Bonilla was placed on the 15-day DL. And so when his stint was up, when Bobby was healthy again, Glenn Hoffman, who was the manager at the time, called him into his office and said, you know, hey, AB, it's time for you to go back down. You know, Bobby's back and ready to go. And Tommy Lasorda happened to be in Hoffman's office. And Adrian said he and Lasorda always had a really good bond because Lasorda was the first guy from the Dodgers front office that he met in the Dominican who spoke Spanish. So he said he didn't look at Hoffman, and he almost just, you know, lowered his head and said okay and went on. But he said he looked Lasorda dead in the eye and said, who's gonna play next year? Who's gonna be, you know, your third baseman? And he said, it's gonna be you. And he said, why don't you just let me stay up here? Let me stay up here and learn from Bobby and then be ready to go next year. And so he sent him on his way and said, you know, we'll talk about it and I'll give you a call later on. And then the call never came, and the rest is history. He never went back down. But he said he debated on whether or not to actually say anything because it's really not his personality, especially that early on in his career. But he took a chance because he wanted to stay up so badly.
Yeah, good story. Yeah, that. I guess you have to have something like that happen in every great career, and you get it started that way. Springer reaching, pops it up. Shallow left field. Gomez calling off Elvis to make the catch.
Another example, Buzz, of we were talking about how Gomez gives a certain level of comfort to Adrian and Elvis because they really don't have to worry about those difficult pop-ups that are halfway between the outfield and the infield, because he's a very good outfielder and he's very aggressive and he likes taking charge on those plays. Some outfielders just soon see the infielder catch it, but he's going to come in and help him out.
Yeah. Adrian's laughing at Elvis. Elvis isn't used to having somebody that will take charge like that. He's going to have to get used to it. As long as Carlos Gomez is out there, he's going to do that same thing.
Yeah.
Alex Bregman slicing a fly ball to right field. That could be trouble. Mazzara on the run and can't get it. A fair ball. 2 runs are going to score. Bregman going around to third, and he is in standing with a 2-run triple. It is 10-5 Rangers. Bregman with a home run and now a triple.
Well, all it was a little fly ball, but unfortunately it was a well-placed fly ball, too close to the line for Mazzara to be able to make the catch. Comes close. Just can't quite get there.
No, it's now a 5-run game. Rangers lead cut by that 2-run triple from Alex Bregman, who drives in his 2nd and 3rd runs of the night. Now Jose Altuve to face Tony Barnett. This one's popped up, shallow right. Mazzara coming on, still coming, and it's off his glove. It bounces off the sidewall into the seats. And Altuve is going to be at second base with a run across. It's a 10-6 game. Now things kind of unraveling here. First the 2-run triple into the corner, and then Nomar Mazzara. Well, he might have gotten that glove up in front of his face. In any event, that is going to drive Tony Barnett from the game. And Matt Bush is going to be summoned as you get a look at the ball popping right out of the tip of the glove of Nomar Mazzara. So Matt Bush called in from the Ranger bullpen. He'll inherit a runner at second. A 4-run Ranger lead at this point, but the Astros making noise. We're back right after this. days later, Martin will be named manager of the Texas Rangers, replacing Whitey Herzog.
Yeah, it was an interesting time in Ranger history. Whitey Herzog had been hired. He was the director of player personnel with the Mets. Great reputation for developing young players, and that was his goal when he came to the Rangers, what the Rangers wanted him to do at the time. And so he had some plans and to acquire some pitchers with power arms, build for the future, and that's exactly what he was doing. And Bob Short, after a month and a half or 2 months, got impatient, saw Billy Martin available, and completely changed course. Said, let's try to win now. Hire Billy Martin. And it worked, because Billy came here, and the team didn't win a championship or anything, but they became a good team, drew 1 million fans. Billy did a great job. Long term, though, if you just look at it as a short-range decision, it was pretty successful. But Buzz, when you look at what Whitey Herzog accomplished in his career, I think if the Rangers had stuck with Whitey Herzog, it might have been a whole different long chapter in Ranger baseball.
Yeah, he was the one that really got the Kansas City Royals over the hump.
Yep.
Had a lot of pretty good young players, a very good team, but couldn't quite beat Oakland. And Whitey got there, and all of a sudden things changed.
Yeah.
One of the best baseball men I've ever been around, Whitey.
I've heard a lot of people say the same thing.
Well, Matt Bush is coming to the ball game facing Carlos Correa. Matt has the advantage in the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Matt, the hard-throwing 30-year-old out of San Diego, has Altuve at second. 2 outs, 3 runs across here in the 7th inning. Line drive to left. Gomez coming on and makes the catch. Hard charging Carlos Gomez takes care of it, and that will do it. 3 runs on 2 hits, an error, 1 man left. Will take the stretch with the Rangers leading 10-6. Now let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Will you please rise? Our country and the servicemen and women who are currently stationed at home and around the world. We invite everyone in Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
T-Mobile. Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers, out for quite a while and scheduled to make his first rehab start this weekend for Class A Rancho Cucamonga. LA's used the disabled list 27 times. They still have 6 starting pitchers on the disabled list. Baltimore Orioles, the thumping Orioles. Chris Davis, Manny Machado, Mark Trumbo all had 10 or more home runs in August. That's the 4th time in Major League history for a team to have 3 players with 10-plus home runs in a calendar month. Handel Gustave, right-hander on the hill for the Houston Astros, facing Elvis Andrus to start things off here in the Rangers' 7th. Ranger lead has been trimmed to 10-6 as Gustave misses outside to Elvis. 2 balls, no strikes. Elvis 2 for 3 tonight. He's driven in a couple. He's had a single and a double. And way high and tight. 3 balls and no strikes. So Elvis trying to reach, turn the lineup over, get it back to the top for Nomar Mazara. Ball 4. 4 wide ones to Elvis. He is aboard. Now back to the top of the Ranger order.
Right fielder,
Gustave tricked us. They changed numbers from what we were given. But A.J. Hinch knew who it was, so as long as he has it on his scorecard. Mazara, a base hit in 3 official trips tonight. Omar also had a sacrifice fly mixed in there. There's a strike, nothing in 1. Mazara, 276 average. And 52 runs driven home. A wicked breaking ball. Nothing in 2. Gustave checks out Elvis at first. Couldn't get Mazara to hack at that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gustave, one of 5 called up from AAA by the Astros today. Rangers doing the same. They bring up 4. Need more reinforcements coming up. As you heard Thad Levine talking about next week. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Talking to Colby Lewis before the ball game, he's going to make 1 more rehab start probably. They may do that. Well, the Rangers are up in Seattle. He may go up and pitch in Spokane. 2-2 pitch on the way. Ball 3. And Omar goes from 0-2 to 3-2. He is trying to get aboard to join Elvis Andrus. Ian Desmond is next. Got a brief look at Pat Neshek out there in the Astros bullpen. Elvis on the move. The pitch is a strike. The throw to second. Elvis is a dead duck. Tried to go out of the baseline to avoid the tag, and he is called out. So a strike him out, throw him out, double play.
center fielder, Ian Desmond.
2 gone for Ian Desmond.
Yeah, the strategy of running on that play is kind of foiled when the batter takes strike 3.
Yep.
The runner on that play is either depending on it being ball 4 or the batter swinging at a strike and putting it in play.
So 2 gone now. Here's Desmond. Ian 1 for 3. He has been aboard twice, a double and a walk. Desmond facing Andel Gustave, who was a 23-year-old out of the Dominican Republic. No balls, 2 strikes.
Pretty smooth 97-mile-an-hour fastball right there from the 23-year-old.
Gustave came up early in the month of August, pitched in 3 ball games. Now back up for the remainder of the season. Got him swinging. Gustave a couple of strikeouts. Rangers get a walk, but nobody left. We'll go to the 8th inning here in Globe Life Park. Rangers 10 and the Astros 6.
Time for the Progressive Fan of the Game. We got to give it to Elijah and we got to give it to Bennett because it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Night and they are both undergoing cancer treatments. They've been having a great time. You having a good time, Elijah? What about you, Bennett? Yes. All right, there we go. I know you've been enjoying the snow cone. Here's the bag. Y'all divide that up. A lot of good stuff in that one, okay? Anything else you guys like to say? Anything else? Bennett, Elijah, anything? Hello? Bennett, Elijah? Okay.
Elijah can say go Rangers.
It's like Santa Claus out here. Okay, all right. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Keep up the good fight. There you go, buddy.
Go Rangers!
Nice going, Knoxley. Well, Evan Gattis starting off the 8th inning against Matt Bush. Bush missed with a breaking ball that hung high and then came back with a pretty good curveball, even the count. Gattis 0 for 1 officially. He has a walk and a sacrifice fly. Got that in on his fists and fought it off foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Matt Bush came on to get the final out of the 7th inning. Got Carlos Correa to line to left field. Last time we saw Matt, the second game in that Seattle series, gave up a run in 2 innings of work. Got the win in that ball game. Rangers, of course, walked that off. Rougned Odor's dramatic 9th inning home run. 96 upstairs, and Gattis fouls it back. Gattis' only official at bat tonight resulted in a ground ball to Adrian Beltre at third. Now Bush coming back to the plate. There's that curveball again, and Gattis able to check his swing. Rangers 10 runs on 13 hits tonight. Astros 6 runs on 5 hits. Both ball clubs have committed 1 error. Three and 2. There was that cutter slash slider from Matt Bush. No, dealing to Evan Gattis. Following him in the order, Colby Rasmus. Rasmus hiding right behind Gattis. Payoff pitch on the way. Elvis, throw on the money. One gone. And before Rasmus steps to the plate, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you.
Well, that home run season for Brad Miller is kind of sneaking up on everybody.
Yeah.
26 home runs.
Isn't that something?
Come up with Seattle and had some opportunities to play for them. Looked like he had some potential, but I don't know that anyone saw 26 home runs coming up.
Yeah,
maybe,
what I remember,
maybe people did.
People talked about maybe 10 or 12 home runs kind of guy. Well, Colby Rasmus never short on the home runs. He has 13 this year and part-time duty because of injuries. Behind in the count now, no balls, 2 strikes.
Now, earlier in the year, Rasmus is off to a nice start. He'd really upped his walk total. Looked like he had maybe figured it out on his way to having a breakthrough season. He's had some good seasons, but
yeah,
it hasn't quite worked out that way.
0-2 from Bush. Laid off that high fastball. Rasmus originally with the Cardinals, to Toronto. Did have some big power years. Never much for the average. It's pulled foul. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Got him swinging. It was the curveball, and Lucroy will complete that strikeout down at first.
He just kept making a better pitch. And that one, he buried the curveball and depended on the swing at the pitch out of the strike zone, and he got it.
Well, look at Lucroy. Right down on top of that ball, smothered it. Upper part of his body bent over leaning toward home plate, so that ball just dropped straight down. Pretty classic defensive work.
Sure was.
2 up, 2 away here in the 8th inning. Yuli Gurriel, who swung at the first pitch he saw from Alex Claudio in the 7th inning and got a base hit. Takes strike 1. Gurriel, a .348 average. No home runs, a couple driven in. That's into left field, a base hit. Gurriel's 2 out of 2. Half a dozen hits now for the Astros. 1 on, 2 out for Jason Castro. And Jeff Bannister headed out to the mound. He's got the left-hander Jake Diekman in the bullpen. He's looking that way and seeing if he gets the sign for him. He does. So he wants Diekman to come on and face Castro with a runner on and 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Rangers leading 10-6. Matt Bush finished for the night. Jake Diekman coming on. We're back right after this. the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Just visit MLB.tv for details. Well, Jake Diekman has entered the ballgame, his 57th appearance of the year, and he will not face left-handed swinging Jason Castro. Instead, it'll be Teoscar Hernandez. Jake Diekman, 4-2 this year, 2.66 ERA, 171 opponent's batting average. That's been going up a little bit lately. Last time we saw him, the first game against Seattle, he gave up a base hit and a walk without retiring a hitter. And a breaking ball settles in to Teoscar Hernandez, who was hitting .212 with 3 home runs and 6 RBI. Hernandez appearing in his 18th ball game of the year. Got Gurriel at first with 2 outs. Pretty good fastball from Diekman. And Hernandez now down on the count, 0-2. Brown getting into it in support of Diekman and the Rangers. Just missed inside. Diekman, a little added velocity tonight, back to 97 that we got accustomed to seeing Jake reach last year. Earlier this year it was there, but went through a spell where it didn't quite have the velocity that we had seen from him before. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Diekman trying to figure out a way to put the clamps on Hernandez. Gurriel, the runner at first. The 2-2 pitch. Diekman unscored upon since the Rockies put 3 on the board in 1/3 of an inning against him here on the 11th of August.
Now, when this game was 10-3, you didn't think that all the late inning bullpen guys were going to have to warm up and be used in this game. Looked like it might be a little bit easier, but already Barnett and Bush have pitched. Diekman is in the game. I think that's Kella warming up, and of course Dyson is the closer. So in what was a 10-3 game, and a game that actually could have been a lot more than 10-3, the Rangers had some chances with less than 2 outs with men on third base to score some more. But even with a 10-3 lead, this is getting to be the kind of game that's a little closer than you thought it was going to be.
That it is. Full count. Gurriel off and moving. Payoff pitch. Lost him. Ball 4. There are 2 aboard. And Tony Kemp being called back to the dugout. The only one left is Tyler White, and that's who has a bat. Right-handed hitter coming out to pinch hit for Tony Kemp. And we'll see if that move by A.J. Hinch will get a counter move from Jeff Bannister. Tyler White, a right-handed hitter. And Keone Keller ready in that Ranger bullpen if summoned. And Doug Brocail's going to go out. So apparently they're going to go ahead and have Jake Diekman pitch to Tyler White. First, a little chat on the mound, Diekman and Doug Brocail, and Jonathan Lucroy kind of kibitzing there. So, message is left with Diekman. Doug Brocail back to the dugout, and we are set to go.
Yeah, Jake had him. No balls and 2 strikes. Young hitter off the bench and couldn't make a strike when he needed to.
Well, here's Tyler White. Powerful right-handed hitter. Misses with a breaking ball. White hitting just .209. Remember, this young man, though, got off to a terrific start. He was the American League Player of the Week for the first week of the season. Fell on hard times after that. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, again, we're not trying to wear it out, but when you start walking people down at the bottom of this order in particular, you are asking for trouble.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble for sure. Walks have played a part in this game. A walk scored in the first inning, a walk scored in the 7th.
2-0 pitch. Left center field. That's hit pretty well. Desmond on the run. Up against the wall. He can't get it. It bounces off the wall. 2 runs are in. At second is Tyler White with a 2-run double. It's a 10-8 Ranger lead. And the tying run is coming to the plate. Now, Tyler White, a pinch hit, 2-run, 2-bagger. And for the second straight outing, Jake Diekman is not going to retire a hitter.
Well, he had the 0-2 count on the 8th place hitter, and that's the batter he wanted to get rid of. But then you get behind the next hitter 2-0, and it's not a walk, but it's a great hitter's count. A walk followed by the double. And you're trying to figure out a way to get out of this 8th inning.
Oh, Jeff Bannister out. He will give the ball to Keone Kela. We'll tell you all about Keone when we come back right after this. Keone Kela facing George Springer. Springer representing the tying run in this ball game. Ball 1. Springer 0 for 4 tonight. Keone Kela, his 25th game of the year. We saw him in the first game of the Seattle series, and Keone worked an inning and 2/3 of shutout baseball with a couple of strikeouts and some big outs in that ball game. 205 opponent's average against Kela. Kela trying to get himself back into meaningful roles. And he misses high. 2 balls, no strikes to Springer. Springer, a pop out in the 7th, a ground out in the 1st, and a pair of strikeouts sandwiched in between. Jonathan Lucroy is going to go out and have a chat with Keone Kela. Keone says, "Okay, I see what your thinking is. We'll go with what you believe. How's that?" Astros scored 3 in the 7th, 2 more here in the 8th. White out at second with 2 outs. 3 balls and no strikes. McKellar coming in after Jake Diekman gave up a walk and a 2-run double, the 2 hitters he faced. Keone falling behind 3-0, and you've got the third baseman, Alex Bregman, who has a home run and a triple tonight in that on-deck circle. 3-1. A.J. Hinch has seen his young ball club come back time and time again this year, very much like the Rangers have.
They had a big comeback toward the end of their last homestand. They were down by a couple of runs last inning, scored 3 runs to win that ball game. So yeah, they're definitely a team that can come back.
Now Tuve had an RBI triple to tie that ball game after a wild pitch on a strikeout.
Yeah.
Put the run on. And Gaddis drove him home for the 2-out single.
The Rangers have given some chances late in the game with walks behind in the count, an error. Trying to hang on now.
3-2 the count. Lost him. Tying runs are on base. And Alex Bregman coming up.
Alex Bregman.
Second walk of the inning, along with 2 base hits. Bregman had a solo home run in the first inning, had a 2-run triple in the 7th inning. 2 for 4 tonight. Outfield playing very deep, trying to prevent a double and getting over their head. Strike 1. McKellar the other night came into the ball game and had Nelly Cruz up in a huge situation. Ended up striking him out on a 3-2 pitch to strand a couple of runners. Check swing, he went around. Good breaking ball from Keller. Now Keone ahead of the count, 0-2. Crowd of better than 30,000 on hand, and they have their rally towels going. 2 on, 2 out in the 8th inning. Rangers lead by 2. Popped him up. Rougned Odor angling out. Mazzara behind him, but Odor calling and makes the catch, and that will do it. Wow. Astros come up with a couple, but strand 2. We're going to the bottom of the 8th with a score of the Rangers 10 and the Astros 8.
Rangers clinging to a 2-run lead over the Astros as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. This is the opener of 3 against the Astros. Game 2 tomorrow here at the Globe. Coverage starts at 2:30 p.m., 3 o'clock first pitch. So a day game on tap for your Saturday. Derek Holland and Jose Altuve, one of the featured matchups, as Derek takes his 1.5 ERA in his 2 starts since his return from the DL to the Hill. And of course, Jose Altuve continues to tear things up. 349 average, leading Major League Baseball. We thank the fine folks at AT&T High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for Game 2 of 3 between the Astros and the Rangers, fellas.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, Chris Davinsky has come onto the Astros bullpen now to take over. Davinsky dealing to Carlos Beltran to start things off. Beltran tonight, a home run, a bases loaded walk to account for his 3 RBI. Officially 1 for 3. Evan Gattis now goes from DH to catching, and there is no DH now available for the Astros. Hernandez stays in the ball game and takes over in center. Correa grabs Beltran's ground ball and throws him out. 1 gone.
Third baseman, Adrian Beltre.
Now the 4th inning tonight. Rangers got it going. Carlos Beltran, a 2-run bomb onto Greens Hill. Rougned Odor got a hanging breaking ball from Doug Fisker. That left the ballpark screaming. And capping it off, Jonathan Lucroy, that line drive home run. 3 home runs in the inning. Rangers score 7 times. And it's a good thing they did. The lead
Sure
is
is
now in jeopardy. Beltre takes a strike to even things up. Adrian, a walk in 4 trips, so 0 for 3 officially. Oh, he hit that right on the sweet spot of the bat, popped it up into shallow right center. Springer there for out number 2.
The second baseman,
Sam Dyson getting ready in that Ranger bullpen. Odor, another home run tonight. He has home runs in 3 straight ball games. 4 of them in those 3 games. 2 Hopper, 2 Altuve. The Rangers go quietly in the 8th inning. So we're going to the 9th. Sam Dyson's going to come on, and he has to wade through the middle of the Astros order, starting with Jose Altuve. Rangers leading 10-8. It's Dyson time.
here tonight, and now they hope to see Sam Dyson finish off the Astros for good. Dana Larson here with you, reminding you we've got Rangers Live, the post-game edition, coming up right after the game. We'll talk about Astros nemesis Rougned Odor on quite a 3-game tear. Also, how about those former Astros getting it done against their old team? We'll talk about Carlos Gomez and Carlos Beltran. Lots of offense in this one. We'll hear from Jeff Bannister as well, and set up Derek Holland start tomorrow and update Colby Lewis's next start in Spokane, as a matter of fact. One rehab to go for Colby Lewis. All of that and much more coming up right after the game, guys.
All right, Dana, thank you. Some work to do now for Sam Dyson. Sam's 63rd appearance of the year. He is 30 out of 34 in save opportunities. 247 opponent's batting average, and he's facing the heart of the Astros order: Altuve, Correa, and Gaddis. And Colby Rasmus, if we get that far. Altuve tonight 0 for 3. Walked and scored in the first inning. Beltran. And on one pitch, Dyson gets Altuve.
I love to get that leadoff hitter, especially when it's Altuve. And what you'd love to see is Sam throw the ball today exactly like he did the last time he pitched against Seattle.
Yep.
The dominating sinker he had in that game, and he's off to a good start here in the 9th inning by getting the best hitter in baseball on one pitch.
Since the All-Star break, Dyson back to his bread and butter, and that's the ground ball. Over 80% ground balls of the balls put in play. That's the second highest percentage in Major League Baseball. And you can add one more to that as Altuve grounded out to Beltran. Here's Correa, 1 for 4 tonight. Correa's single came back in the first. That's out of play, straight back. Sam Dyson last faced the Astros down at Minute Maid Park on the 6th and 7th of the month of August. Had a save and a blown save in that series. The 0-1 pitch. A ball and a strike. Dyson had 2 strikeouts against the Mariners his last time out. As Tom said, overpowering, and it's exactly what it was. 2-1. Since the first inning, Correa has grounded to short, struck out, and lined to left field. 28-year-old right-hander Sam Dyson out of Tampa, Florida. Two and two.
You can't go wrong if you're Sam Dyson and you throw your mid-90s sinker right at the bottom of the strike zone. You may roll some ground balls through the infield, occasionally hit one hard, but for the most part, you're going to have success if you make that pitch.
Jonathan Lucroy checking out what he's seeing from Correa up there. Dyson with a 2-2. Little looper on the infield.
How did he do that?
I don't have any idea.
I got to see that again. That ball, that literally looked like it was going to hit him in the waist, and he hit it in fair territory. A little blooper.
That's kind of like the base hit he had.
I don't think I've ever seen that, though. Watch how far this pitch is inside. It's going to hit him.
Yeah. Oh, it would have. Yeah, if he doesn't make contact right there.
But how do you keep your hands in like that? Look at him swing and hit the ball fair. He doesn't even know where the ball is. Boy, you can go a long time without seeing that.
2 outs, and the crowd now standing in support of Sam Dyson and the Rangers, and Sam throws strike 1 to Evan Gaddis. Gaddis tonight 0 for 2 officially. A couple of groundouts, a walk, and a sacrifice fly. He's 1 for 7 against Dyson in past matchups. 0-2, and a roar goes up from the crowd. They are all standing here at Globe Life Park. Rally towels out. Dyson reading the sign. He is set. 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball. See you later. That is a winner. Sam Dyson locked up Evan Gattis and threw the keys away. And the Rangers hang on to win 10-8 in a wild and woolly affair here, the first game of this 3-game weekend series. A 7-run fourth inning was enough, but just barely to stand up. 10-8 the final. Sam Dyson is 31st save in 35 opportunities. And the Rangers able to shake hands at the end of this one, which is what they're after in every game. A.J. Griffin gets the win. A.J. goes to 7-3 for the year, and that's back-to-back wins for A.J. Griffin now.
Well, I think if you're Evan Gattis, there's no way you're going to be ready for that pitch. Every pitch before it was a 96-mile-an-hour sinker. And then right at the end, you come in with a breaking ball, and all you can do is say, okay, you got me.
Yep.
Nothing you can do on it.
And, A.J. Griffin putting his hands together.
That was just a little bit tougher, Buzz, than it looked like it was going to be. But the bottom line is it's a win, and that's the name of the game.
You're right about that. A lot of high fives, a lot of clapping for the Rangers. Let's go down to the field, see what Emily Jones has.
Thank you very much, Carlos Beltran. You guys continue to roll on this homestand, big games, and you guys are stepping up to the plate. What was this one like tonight? Not exactly easy, but you get it done.
Exactly. I think the most important thing right now is that we're swinging the bat well. Being able to take the first game out of this series really means a lot for us. Houston's playing good baseball lately, and it was huge for us to be able to take this one.
As far as you guys playing, hey, well done, well done.
It's a player of the game. It's a player of the game.
There you go.
I
love it. That's mad respect. That never happens, Carlos. I just want you to know. So for you guys, you and Jonathan and Carlos, to fit in the way that you guys have and to contribute the way that you have, what's that been like for y'all?
Well, the main focus for us right now is to try to approach every single at bat the right way and make sure that we're putting quality at bat. So right now we're doing that. We're trying to add to what they already have in place. This team has been playing great baseball all year round. So the fact that we came here and we're helping the ball club, contribute to win ball games, that's what we're looking forward.
And I've asked this a million times to a million different guys. It's hard to answer, but what is it like to play on this team, to be in that clubhouse, to be in that dugout?
It's a great energy. A lot of fun guys in the clubhouse. Coming from New York, and everything is very quiet, very calm. Here is like, these guys are wild, these guys are crazy. But you know what? It worked for them. So, I mean, my style is more calm, more quiet, but you know what? I'm fitting in finally.
Listen, the way that you brushed off that Powerade shower, mad props to you. Carlos, up top, buddy. We'll send it back up to you guys.
All right, Em, thanks very much. Well, the Rangers win their 81st ball game of the year. They are now 9.5 games clear of the second-place Houston Astros. This is the Rangers' biggest lead since June the 28th. So looking for more as Sam Dyson closes things out tonight. 10-8 the final. We'll be back with more from Globe Life Park right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.